Hi, Jordan. I wanted to leave you some feedback on your thesis statement and outline for SA2. Um, I think as a whole, it's working. So I can see a clear stance emerging, a clear claim, at least. And I think that the points that you bring in as your key ideas, I think not only do these, connect with the claim that you're making, but I think that you can also look for evidence to support these ideas, right? So this week you want to think about what specific evidence from the text can you bring into the essay in the form of paraphrase or direct quotation to support these ideas. So, a couple of things that I want to talk to you about to make this stronger. Remember, whenever you write a summary, you want to not only do you want to include the title, but you also want to include the author's full name. So make sure that you get Williams's name in your summary. And if you do that, you can avoid starting with sentences like this or starting with phrases like this. For this essay I have chosen, you typically don't want to write about what you're doing, right? That is implied in the summary. So it's kind of redundant, right? So if you write a summary in the proper format, such as, and Carlos Williams is the use of force, a doctor, da, 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 you don't have to say in this essay I'm going to write about. Does that make sense? And avoiding those kinds of phrases just makes you sound more professional, and it like elevates the writing in terms of you sounding more sophisticated. So I think that your summary points are working pretty well. I would look for like the small gaps and holes here and there in the writing. So you say this is a story about a doctor who had a house visit for a little girl that was sick. The doctor first had the parents try to help him, and then towards the end, he begins to get upset. So it's unclear what happens in between the help and the upset to get him angry. So if you could kind of fill in those gaps, I think that that would be useful. So these sentences are all clear, right? They're really nicely written, but I think just reading for the gaps here and there. Um, I You say that there's a lot of gray area, and you're right, there is, and that's one of the things I think that makes this essay so interesting. I think you need to clearly indicate what the gray area is, or I should say it this way, what Williams's point seems to be. So that's one of the things that's missing from this summary is you've captured the plot points, but what is Williams's main idea? What is he asking the reader to think about, right? So I don't think that Williams ever tells us exactly how he feels. It's kind of up to us to determine. I do believe that he gives us enough hints, right, throughout the text that we definitely should question some of the things that the doctor is doing. But I think that you're right that there is some gray area. But note that if you don't fully explain that or explain what Williams's point is, you're right, that idea is going to fall flat for the reader. And I particularly recommend so not only, capturing this uh, in more detail, but in the essay itself, make sure that you spend at least one paragraph on the counter argument, right, to really talk about that gray area. If you expect this to be persuasive, because I'm not going to tell you the stance to take. I think this stance is absolutely fine, and I can see that you have good key ideas to support it. But skeptical readers, right? And remember, that's really who your audience is. Skeptical readers are going to hone in on all of that abusive language and anger that is really kind of that really forces us to question the doctor's credibility. So make sure that you address that, right? And note that if you address that, that's not hurting your argument. In fact, what it's going to do is garner more respect from your readers, that you're willing to talk about the gray area, right? The complicated area. So the only other thing that I think is missing from your thesis is your reason. So you have a clear claim. The doctor's actions are necessary for the well-being of the child. So you need to indicate why, right? So why do you find them necessary? And I think if you get your because in there, right? We talked about a claim, because, a reason. If you get your because reason, I think that you'll have a clear thesis statement. So as a whole, you got the green light go from me, just some gaps here and there in the logic, and clarifying some of your ideas. And I think that this will be I think this is a good working outline. Don't forget to include your header up here in your right hand corner, your last name and your page number. Remember, that is a part of your formatting. All right, Jordan, I'm really looking forward to seeing where you take this. I think it's a good plan.